My life was perfect, or at least it seemed that way. Every morning I woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside our window, the smell of fresh coffee brewing in the kitchen, and the warmth of John's embrace. We had built a life that many would envy, filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams. At least, I thought it was. There were moments, fleeting and rare, when a shadow of doubt would cross my mind, but I always brushed it aside, convinced that our love was unshakable. John and I were living the dream, a loving marriage, a beautiful home, and successful careers. We celebrated each other's achievements, supported each other's ambitions, and cherished every moment we spent together. Our friends often remarked on how perfect we seemed, and I believed them. We were a team, two halves of a whole. Then, the letter arrived. It was a seemingly ordinary day filled with the usual routines and small joys. But that letter changed everything. It was addressed to John, but curiosity got the better of me. I remember the moment vividly, the way the envelope felt in my hands, the sound of the paper tearing, the anticipation building as I unfolded the letter. I never imagined that what I was about to read would shatter my world. I wish I could take it back. The words on that page were like a dagger to my heart. They revealed a truth that John had kept hidden from me, a truth that would forever change the course of our lives. The words on that page ripped my perfect life to shreds. John had a secret, a past that he had never shared with me. And now, that past was staring me in the face, demanding to be acknowledged. John had a secret, a daughter he never mentioned, a daughter from a previous relationship, a part of his life that he had kept hidden from me. The revelation was like a punch to the gut, leaving me breathless and reeling. My husband, the man I shared everything with, had betrayed me in the worst way possible. My world spun. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of emotions, anger, betrayal, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of loss. How could this be happening? How could the man I loved, the man I trusted with my heart, have kept such a monumental secret from me? The questions swirled in my mind, each one more painful than the last. The life I knew, the future I envisioned, it all vanished in an instant. The plans we had made, the dreams we had shared, they all seemed meaningless now. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into an abyss of uncertainty. I was lost in a sea of confusion, anger, and a pain so deep it felt physical. Every memory we had created together, every moment of happiness was now tainted by the knowledge of his betrayal. The man I loved, the man I built my life with, was a stranger. I looked at him and saw someone I didn't recognize, someone who had deceived me in the most profound way. The trust that had been the foundation of our relationship was shattered, and I didn't know if it could ever be rebuilt. And now I was facing the unthinkable, raising his child. A child who was innocent in all of this. A child who needed love and care. I was torn between my anger at John and my compassion for this little girl who had suddenly become a part of my life. The road ahead was uncertain, and I didn't know if I had the strength to navigate it. But one thing was clear, my life would never be the same again. John and I met the way most couples do, a chance encounter at a friend's party. He was charming, witty, and had the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. We fell in love quickly, our connection undeniable. Our wedding day was a fairy tale, a testament to our love and commitment. We built a life together, brick by brick, filled with laughter, shared dreams, and unwavering support. We were the envy of our friends, the golden couple everyone admired. John was my rock, my confidant, the one person I could always count on. He was my everything, or so I thought. The letter shattered that illusion, leaving me with nothing but the sharp edges of betrayal. I confronted John that evening. The air was thick with tension, every word hanging heavily between us. I had rehearsed this moment in my mind countless times, but nothing could prepare me for the reality of it. The look on his face, a mixture of guilt and fear, confirmed my worst fears. He confessed everything, his voice trembling as he spoke. It was as if a dam had broken, and all the secrets he had kept hidden for so long came flooding out. A relationship from his past, a daughter he never knew existed until recently. The revelation hit me like a tidal wave, overwhelming and relentless. I could see the pain in his eyes as he spoke of the girl, a child who had been a ghost in his life until now. He claimed he was going to tell me, but the words stuck in his throat. Every time he tried, fear held him back. He was paralyzed by the thought of how I would react, of the damage it would do to our relationship. He was afraid of losing me. The fear was palpable, a living, breathing thing that had taken root in his heart. It was this fear that had kept him silent, that had driven him to live a lie. His words were like daggers to my heart. Each confession cut deeper than the last, leaving me raw and bleeding. The pain was almost unbearable, a physical ache that radiated through my entire being. Each syllable a betrayal, a reminder of the life we built on lies. The foundation of our relationship, once solid and unshakable, now felt like it was crumbling beneath my feet. Every word he spoke was a reminder of the trust that had been shattered. The room spun, the air thick with unspoken accusations and the bitter taste of deceit. It was as if the walls were closing in on me, the weight of his betrayal pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I felt sick, physically ill at the thought of his betrayal. My stomach churned, and I had to fight the urge to run, to escape the suffocating atmosphere of our home. The place that had once been my sanctuary now felt like a prison. How could he keep this from me? The question echoed in my mind, a relentless refrain that refused to be silenced. How could he look me in the eye every day, knowing the truth he was hiding? How could he live a lie for so long? The enormity of his deception was staggering. It wasn't just the secret itself, but the years of lies and half-truths that had built up around it. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of betrayal, struggling to keep my head above water. As I sat there, trying to process everything, I realized that our relationship would never be the same. The trust that had been broken could never be fully repaired. The future we had planned together now seemed uncertain, shrouded in the shadows of his past. We sat in silence, the distance between us growing with each passing moment. The love we once shared now felt tainted, overshadowed by the secrets and lies that had come to light. I wondered if we could ever find our way back to each other, or if this was the beginning of the end. Tears streamed down my face as I grappled with the enormity of what I had learned. John looked at me with regret, his eyes pleading for forgiveness. But forgiveness felt like an impossible task, a mountain too high to climb. I stood up, the weight of the revelation pressing down on me. John reached out, but I couldn't bring myself to stay. I needed space, time to think, to process everything. As I walked away, I felt a sense of finality, as if a chapter of our lives had come to a close. Alone on the deserted street, I looked up at the night sky, searching for answers. The stars seemed distant, cold, and indifferent to my pain. I wondered what the future held, if there was any hope for us, or if this was the end of our story. As I sat on a bench, lost in thought, I realized that I had a choice to make. I could let this betrayal define me, or I could find the strength to move forward. The path ahead was uncertain, but I knew that I had to find my own way to reclaim my life and my sense of self. With a deep breath, I stood up, feeling a newfound sense of determination. I didn't know what the future held, but I was ready to face it head on. The earth had shattered beneath me, but I was still standing, ready to rebuild my life from the pieces. The days that followed were a blur of anger and tears. Each morning I woke up with a heavy heart, the weight of betrayal pressing down on me. The nights were no better, filled with restless tossing and turning, haunted by the memories of what once was and the harsh reality of what now is. I couldn't look at John without feeling a surge of rage. Every glance in his direction was a painful reminder of the trust he had broken. The man I once saw as my rock, my confidant, now seemed like a stranger, someone I could barely recognize. How dare he shatter our perfect life like this? The dreams we had built together, the future we had envisioned, all seemed to crumble in an instant. The anger was all-consuming, a fire that burned within me, threatening to engulf everything in its path. But amidst the anger, another emotion stirred within me, empathy for the child. It was a feeling I couldn't ignore, no matter how much I wanted to. This little girl, innocent and unaware, had been thrust into a situation she had no control over. A little girl, innocent and unaware of the storm she had unleashed. She was just a child, oblivious to the chaos her existence had brought into our lives. Her laughter, her innocent smiles, were a stark contrast to the turmoil I felt inside. She didn't ask for this, for a father who was absent in her life. She didn't choose to be born into a world where her very presence would cause so much pain and confusion. My heart ached for her, for the innocence that was being overshadowed by the mistakes of the adults around her. A part of me, a small, fragile part, understood John's fear. I could see the terror in his eyes, the fear of losing everything we had built together. He was scared, just as I was, of the unknown, of the future that now seemed so uncertain. He was terrified of losing me, of destroying everything we had built together. The fear was palpable, a shadow that loomed over us, threatening to tear us apart. But his silence, his choice to keep the secret, had already done that. But his silence, his choice to keep this secret, had already done that. The distance between us grew with each passing day, a chasm that seemed impossible to bridge. We were two people, once so close, now drifting further and further apart. Now, we were left to pick up the pieces. The fragments of our life lay scattered around us, a painful reminder of what we had lost. It was a daunting task, one that seemed almost insurmountable. But amidst the wreckage, there was a glimmer of hope, a small, fragile belief that maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to rebuild.